Top 25. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the All Four Downs podcast with yours truly, OV1. That's right. And we are getting set, ready to go for this week's college football. And it's even getting better and better each and every week. A lot of upsets and everything else. But all those comments will wait until Tuesday night as I go live for the college football recap and predictions that's going to happen with all these awesome games coming up this week. So here we go. Top 25. Just before the AP polls and coaches polls announce theirs, this is how I see the top 25. You have a right to agree to disagree. Leave your comments below. And don't forget, you can always go ahead and subscribe and like Four Downs, Three Counts, or as well as All Four Downs as you're listening to here on our Facebook and YouTube page. So here we go. Let's get set for my first set. It's 21 through 25. I have Texas Tech, Utah, Memphis, Auburn, and Houston. Look, Texas Tech is starting out great, man. 3-0. Finally, they're coming around. I know they were ranked previously with the AP polls, but I had to see more of it. And I like what I see. Texas Tech, I believe they're the real deal. They're going to be the challenge in the Big 12. All right. However, you got Utah underneath. And I love that battle because Texas and Utah will face each other this weekend. And it is going to be spectacular. So someone's going to have to stay in the top 25. And depending on the outcome of the game, one of them might be out of the top 25. Just saying. Memphis, they host Arkansas. Let's see if they could put themselves to the test against an SEC team. Auburn, man, they went down 3, even though they won. But their biggest test right now is this week when they go ahead on the road to take on Oklahoma. And that's going to be a start of their schedule with 4 ranked teams that's back to back to back. It's going to be fabulous for Auburn. Can they survive? That's all I'm saying. But they got to concentrate at Oklahoma. And Houston, new to my top 25. They defeated Colorado, making a name for themselves in the Big 12. Let's see if that carries over. But this week, they do have a bye. Moving on to 16 to 20. Arizona, USC, Penn State, Vanderbilt, Illinois. Arizona starting off at 3-0. I'm loving this team. I think they're going to be a difference maker in the Big 12. They have a bye this week, but they will face a ranked opponent the following week against Iowa State. USC is kind of quiet. Nobody's really talking about them. They're 1-0 in the Big 10. They defeated Purdue, but their biggest challenge awaits them. They will take on Michigan State, but then afterwards, they go ahead and play Illinois, Michigan, and Notre Dame. And it all depends on how they rank Notre Dame, but I do have Notre Dame out of my top 25. Also, Penn State, they're ranked number 2 in the nation for some odd reason. I still don't understand. They haven't played anybody. That's the thing. It's like they're pushing this team because the majority of them came back to finish what they started, right? But who have they beaten? They need to be challenged. All these other teams scheduled their games within the first 4 weeks playing top 25 teams. Penn State has not done that, okay? It's like they're avoiding, and they're only playing jobber opponents. So with that in mind, in their schedule, the only big opponent they play against is Oregon, and they don't play Oregon for another 2 weeks. But Oregon, they've been, again, we're going to talk about Oregon later, but Penn State, the Nittany Lions, they got to do more. And they didn't look so good this past weekend, but it is what it is. Vanderbilt, they look good. Man, they beat an AP poll ranked opponent who was ranked number 11, South Carolina, and they defeated them like if South Carolina was like ranked number 50 or something like that. Vanderbilt put a butt whipping. Let's put it that way. They won every down. They won on offense, defense, special teams. You got to give Vanderbilt credit. Starting off 3-0. Let's hope and see if that's a difference maker going into the SEC games. Illinois. Well, they're new in my top 25. They've been ranked with other polls, but their biggest challenge is yet to come. They will take on Indiana this weekend. And then, you know, would it be beneficial for Illinois playing 3 weak opponents and then go on the road to take on Indiana? It's a big question mark. Let's see if the way they schedule things will be beneficial for Illinois. 11 to 15, I have Texas A&M, Texas, Michigan, Washington, and Georgia Tech. Now, Texas A&M played a brilliant game. They handled their business. Notre Dame put up a big fight, but Texas A&M, they won it 41 to 40. And then now they go on the bye week and then get set for the SEC game versus Auburn. That's going to be fantastic. Texas looking weaker and weaker each week. Everyone had high hopes of Arch Manning and that offense. Let's put some breaks into it because I wasn't sold from the beginning. I didn't have them at number one. Okay. And be honest with you, the game between Texas and Ohio State didn't even look good, not even both teams. So let's leave it like that. But Texas, okay, they beat UTEP 27 to 10. UTEP. And you would think that they should be beating them like 60 to nothing. All right. It didn't happen. And even the fans are booing. But in 2 weeks, they will start SEC play. And their first opponent for SEC is against Florida, which is also struggling. Not looking good for Texas and not looking their chances right now to make it to the college football playoffs. Ugh, scary. Michigan, they play without their head coach. Their head coach is suspended for 2 games. They will go on the road against Nebraska without their head coach. So let's see if they can make things happen. But I'm liking Nebraska. Nebraska's knocking some doors. Let's see if they improve from the last couple of years. Washington didn't play this week. And Georgia Tech upsets Clemson 24-21. That's a big jump. I think it's the first time that I have a jump with a school jumping into my top 25 at 15. Look, undefeated, but their biggest challenge is yet to come because, let's put it this way. In their last game of the season, they have to play Georgia. And that is probably the only opponent in the top 25 in their schedule as of now. But they are avoiding Miami and Florida State. Wow. They don't get to play them. And if Georgia Tech wins out, and let's say they win, all the way to the ACC championship, they have a better chance to either play Miami or Florida State. Just keep that in mind because I like this Georgia Tech. They're getting better and better with their head coach. And I think this year they're going to make a name. They really are. Okay. But besides playing Georgia at the end, they can still win out, be undefeated in the ACC. And depending on Miami or Florida State, which those 2 teams will face each other in a couple of weeks too. Oh, yeah. And we're going to talk about that because I have Miami at number 6, Missouri at 7, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and number 10, LSU. Wow. Miami with Carson Beck. Miami is a different team. You can scratch all that noise of who they had as a quarterback last year and the year before and everything else, who were the head coaches. Carson Beck is a difference maker. And this guy knows how to win, of course, because he came from a championship team like Georgia Bulldogs. All right. He was part of it when they won back to back. Okay. He is awesome. And without Carson Beck, there is no Miami Hurricanes. Yes, I said that. Okay. And you can take it the way you want it. Okay. But Miami is awesome. They defeated South Florida, which, by the way, they were overrated. Okay. Everyone had high hopes, over exaggerating. Oh my God, South Florida won. No. Stop. Okay. South Florida is who they are. Okay. And they might do a lot of noise in the American League, but as far as here in the competition, they just couldn't stand a chance against Miami. Even with the delay, they couldn't stay a chance, okay? But Miami, they will play Florida this week, which Florida's in trouble. and then they have a bye week, and then they will be playing Florida State. So keep that in mind. Missouri defeated, or excuse me, Missouri will play South Carolina, and South Carolina's in trouble, by the way. Okay. If they don't have the Norris Sellers, then South Carolina might as well just bow down to Missouri, and Missouri will just stay where they're at. Okay. Lenore Sellers got a head injury with South Carolina yesterday. It doesn't look like he's going to play this weekend. So the advantage does go to Missouri. Oklahoma, looking good. All right. They will host Auburn this week. Ole Miss defeated Arkansas 41-35. Both teams lining up the scores, but Ole Miss, they will play Tulane and then play LSU, who is ranked number 10. LSU defeating Florida 20-10. But as many have them as a national champion, but they don't play like a national champion. They, what was it, 5 interceptions, and yet they only won 20-10. Okay. I believe that Florida beat themselves in this game more than LSU winning it. Okay. All the hype of their defense and everything else, I think it was just a common mistake for DJ Lagway to what the performance he made with Florida Gators. And if he was to learn from his mistakes and just be patient more and read more, I think Florida's going to be okay. But when when the hectic schedule that y'all have, Florida, oh my God. But for LSU, man, let me tell you, LSU is going to need Florida to turn things around and win while LSU is trying to win so they can look good. Okay. So, other than that, I am a little skeptical with LSU even reaching to the national championship the way they're playing. All right, moving on to 1-5. And this is my hoorah, baby, because I have Georgia number 1, Oregon, Ohio State, Florida State, and Alabama. Yeah, I know it's the same old, same old. Oh, why you got SEC? Well, Ohio State should be number 1 and everything else. Slow your roll, heroes, because I'm here to tell you. Okay, Alabama, yes, they beat a Big Ten team like Wisconsin. They have a bye week, and now after the bye week, Alabama and Georgia will go head to head. Which team is the better team? Honestly, Georgia or Alabama? Alabama, they got dealt with Florida State, right? And then they have 2 jobber games. Now they have bye week. Georgia, I think, has been more challenged. Yeah, they have some mediocre games and stuff like that, but it looks like Georgia's getting better every week. And in comparison, you looked at that Georgia and Tennessee game. Just saying. Florida State didn't play, but I already said that, soon enough they would play Miami. Ohio State, by the way, did not cover their spread 37-9 over Ohio. But again, Ohio, a jobber team and stuff like that. Maybe they were playing, adjusting their playbooks and stuff like that. But they have a bye week this week, and then they will take on and go on the road to Washington. Okay. Again, the way Ohio State playing jobbers, but when they played Texas, their offense didn't look good. But Texas not looking good either. All right. The week 1 hype is not that much of a hype. Just saying. So Ohio State needs to do more. And they will later on in the week. But their biggest task right now is just stay, competitive, be convinced that you're still an elite, because every year Ohio State is always up there, right? Oregon, punishing opponents left and right. Okay. They did take on the Big Ten game with Northwestern, so they're 1-0 right now. But remember, they were winning 31-0, and then you put some people in there to try them out. And yes, that's why the final score was 34-14. It's okay. But my biggest take is that after this week, after they take on Oregon State, Oregon plays Penn State in 2 weeks, and that is a good game. And that's the type of game that's going to tell me, shut up or put up whatever you want to say about me, about Penn State. Okay. Just throwing it out there. Georgia. Yes, Georgia should have lost this game against Tennessee. Yes, they should have, but they show resilience. They show perseverance. They never quit. And I got to give props to Tennessee. I really do, because they played one hell of a game. They didn't have a defense. And every year that they play against Georgia, they have the offense. They just don't have defense. However, Georgia too, I'm a little questionable about their defense, giving up all those points. Okay. But they're going to get better. Both Georgia and Tennessee will improve each and every time. All right. And Georgia too has a hard schedule. But again, that's why they play the game. They schedule these games early to try here and out, and they're not trying to be just playing just jobbers before actual competition like Penn State is. Okay, and so I think they need to take that under consideration. Looking at the schedule, looking at what they're doing. If you're playing a jobber, you got to win convincingly. If you're playing a top 25 opponent, it's that's part of your resume. Okay, and that's going to be in effect going on to November when the College Football Committee resumes their play and voting from 1 through 25, and then figuring out who will be the top 12 in a run for the college football playoffs. There's so much football going on, so much, so much. I can't wait, man. I can't wait for the other coming weekend. And it just seems like, all right, it just seems that a lot of teams that were overlooked are actually beating up on the top ranked teams. And it's looking that way. And you have to question yourself, AP and coaches poll, how are you observing and looking at those teams? And for the most part, I've been on point. And again, you could question me and everything else, but as of right now, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Florida State. I'm sorry, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama are my top 5. All right. And again, tune in to 4Downs 3Counts, 4Downs 3Counts.com. You know more about the not only just all 4 downs, but also the HHW show. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast platform. I'm Ovi1. These are my top 25. Tune in on Tuesday as I go live in comparison with the AP poll and also predictions of what's happening this weekend in the college football. Thank you for watching, everyone. Take care.